faithful, it is officially time to pay attention because a major trade target has been linked directly to two of the NFC's most dangerous teams, and the 49ers are sitting on a golden window to make a franchise-altering move. A Raiders insider is now reporting that the Eagles and the Niners both have what he's calling nuclear hot interest in Maxx Crosby. San Francisco leads the entire NFL in salary cap space by a wide margin, and two of the team's top defensive ends are both coming off ACL tears with the clock already ticking on training camp. The urgency here is real, the competition for Crosby is real, and the argument for San Francisco to make this move might be the most compelling case this front office has heard in years. And let's break down every single piece of it. Now let's start with the source because this matters. Hondo Carpenter, a Raiders insider writing for Sports Illustrated, has reported that there is, in his exact words, a lot of interest in Maxx Crosby, with two teams specifically showing what he called nuclear hot interest. Those two teams are the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. Now, for anyone who's followed the NFC landscape since 2022, you know exactly how significant it is that these two teams are sitting at the top of the same trade sweepstakes. The Eagles and the Niners have built one of the most hostile, electric rivalries in football over the past several years. Two passionate fan bases, two organizations that have gone toe-to-toe multiple times in the biggest games on the calendar. The idea that both are chasing the same elite pass rusher at the same time makes this whole situation feel even higher stakes. Now, here's the part that should make 49ers fans genuinely nervous, because when you stack up these two franchises in terms of their ability to actually put together a competitive trade package for Crosby, the Eagles hold some real advantages. Think about what Philadelphia has done over the past several seasons. They lost edge rusher Jalen Phillips to free agency right after the trade deadline, when he signed a massive deal with the Carolina Panthers worth $30 million per year. Phillips had been absolutely dominant in the 9 games he played for the Eagles after that midseason acquisition, posting more than 40 pressures in that stretch alone. Despite losing him, the Eagles responded almost immediately by making a trade for Jonathan Greenard, landing a player who by many assessments is actually better than Phillips, and doing so for $50 million less in guaranteed money. This is what elite front office management looks like. You lose a star, you replace him without blinking, and you do it with better value. Howie Roseman has built an organization that is relentlessly aggressive and consistently wins those battles. Meanwhile, the Eagles also have players like defensive tackle Jalen Carter, who by most evaluations is already better than anyone currently on San Francisco's defensive line outside of Nick Bosa himself. They have edge rusher Nolan Smith, a young cost-controlled asset sitting on a team-friendly deal for the next 2 years, and they still have future draft capital, including a 2028 first-round pick they got back from New England when they traded wide receiver A.J. Brown. The Eagles could theoretically put together a package built around Carter, Nolan Smith, and future picks that would be extremely compelling to the Raiders, and the Niners simply do not have equivalent young on-contract building blocks to match that kind of offer. So why should San Francisco still make this move? Let's start with the most obvious number. The 49ers currently lead the entire National Football League in salary cap space at more than $70 million available. That is a massive, massive financial advantage that most teams around the league would love to have, and it creates real flexibility to absorb Crosby's contract in a way that doesn't cripple the roster. When you have that kind of room, you have genuine leverage to get deals done that other teams simply cannot afford. The second reason is just as urgent, and it's sitting right there on the injury report. San Francisco's pass rush entering this upcoming season is, to put it plainly, a disaster on paper right now. Nick Bosa tore his questions about whether he's going to be ready to go from the opening snap of the regular season. Behind those two, the depth at defensive end is thin. Third-round rookie Romello Height out of Texas Tech has drawn early praise from Bosa himself, calling him explosive and polished for a pass rusher, and veteran Cam Sample adds some experience, but this unit as currently constructed cannot be considered anything other than a major question mark. And here's the number that puts all of this into brutal perspective. The San Francisco 49ers had exactly 20 sacks as an entire team last season. 20 out of 32 teams in the National Football League, that ranked them dead last, 32nd. When you can't consistently get to the quarterback, it puts every other piece of your defense under enormous strain. Your corners are forced to hold up in coverage longer than they should. Your safeties are exposed over the top more frequently. And against elite quarterbacks, especially in big games, that exposure gets punished mercilessly. The 49ers have experienced this firsthand in both of their Super Bowl losses to the Kansas City Chiefs. Two matchups where the Niners' inability to consistently pressure Patrick Mahomes proved fatal even in games where they had talent and opportunity on their side. Compare that to what the Eagles did in their most recent Super Bowl appearance. Philadelphia put together one of the single most dominant defensive performances in Super Bowl history, recording 6 sacks on Mahomes without sending a single blitz, forcing him into 3 turnovers, and at one point in the fourth quarter, leading by a margin so large it made the outcome feel completely beyond reach. The Eagles did what San Francisco has tried and failed to do. They got after the quarterback with a relentless, efficient pass rush, and they made Mahomes look mortal. That's the blueprint, that's the model. And the most important ingredient in executing it is exactly the kind of elite, proven edge rusher that Maxx Crosby represents. Now let's talk about what Crosby would actually bring to this defense, because when you look at the numbers side by side with Bosa, the pairing gets genuinely exciting. Over the last 4 seasons, Crosby has played 11 more games than Bosa across that span, recording 61 sacks to Bosa's 40. Bosa has been the better pure pass rusher in that window, generating 299 pressures compared to Crosby's 282 over that stretch, and winning the quarterback hits battle 110 to 107 in 11 fewer games. But here's where Crosby stands completely apart. His impact against the run, as measured by tackles for loss, is not even close. Crosby's 90 tackles for loss over that span to Bosa's 54 tells you everything about the kind of versatile, relentless threat he is on every single down, not just obvious passing situations. You're not just adding a pass rusher here. You're adding a complete defensive end who can wreck run games, blow up screens, chase down mobile quarterbacks, and win when you need him most in the fourth quarter. Now, here's the part of the Crosby trade picture that's genuinely important to understand. The Raiders already put Crosby on the trade block earlier this offseason. They already made him available. And according to reporting, he also failed a physical at some point during this process, which has had the practical effect of lowering his trade price compared to what it would have been if he were considered fully healthy. That doesn't mean the price is cheap. It's still going to be significant, but it does mean the Niners might be able to structure something more favorable than they would have if they were chasing a fully healthy Crosby at his peak market value. The initial trade framework that's been floated involves the 49ers sending a 2027 first-round pick and a 2028 second-round pick to Las Vegas, spreading those assets across 2 different draft cycles to make the immediate financial and draft capital impact more manageable. Another option involves including Michael Williams in the package, using a promising young player who hasn't been healthy enough to take the field as a central piece of the trade, and pairing him with a 2027 first-round pick. Sending Williams to Las Vegas makes a certain amount of sense from the Raiders' perspective because they're clearly in rebuild mode and would value a former first-round pick who, when healthy, showed genuine promise as a foundational defensive piece. From San Francisco's side, if Williams was never going to be on the field anyway this year, packaging him in a Crosby trade turns a sitting asset into an immediate upgrade at the very position where he plays. The broader context here is also worth sitting with for a moment. Look at what every other serious contender in the NFC has done this offseason. The Rams gave up Jared Verse, a 20 fundamentally transformed this offense. The Trent Williams trade secured arguably the best left tackle in football for years. This organization knows how to identify a transformational player and pay the price to acquire him. The question heading into this summer is whether they're going to apply that same aggression to fixing the most obvious and urgent weakness on this roster right now. The cap space is there. The need is undeniable. The competition for the exact same player is nuclear hot, according to inside reporting. All of that adds up to one message for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. This is the moment. The Rams just made the boldest move of the offseason, and they're already a step ahead. The Eagles are right there in the same sweepstakes. The Seahawks just won the whole thing. You have the money, you have the motivation, and you have the target. Make the move. Pairing Maxx Crosby with a fully healthy Nick Bosa would give San Francisco one of the most dangerous pass-rushing duos at defensive end anywhere in the National Football League. It would turn the team's single most glaring weakness into an immediate strength. And in a win-now window loaded with veteran talent and championship ambition, that kind of upgrade doesn't just improve the defense. It completely resets the ceiling for what this team is capable of in 2026. That's the full breakdown on the Maxx Crosby situation as it stands right now. And you better believe we are going to be following every single development on this story as we move toward training camp. If you are locked in and you want this front office to pull the trigger, smash that like button right now and drop your thoughts in the comments. Should the Niners go get Maxx Crosby and turn this defense into something special, or is the price too high? Let us know where you stand, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single update on your San Francisco 49ers. Go Niners, and we'll catch you in the next one.